And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some clips from the news and share a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And if you happen to be listening anywhere else and you wanted to join the live portion, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, on Coffee Talk and Prepper University, at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. Please join us there. Please subscribe and thumbs up. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. You can also find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat and Rumble, and that would be Coffee Talk 2 with the number 2 on Rumble as we get ready to jump off here. Hope everybody's doing all right today as we get ready to take a look at the realm of the ridiculous, which is the world that we live in. As you saw, a thumbnail alluded to bird flu in cows, and we will get to that because that's been coming up a lot the last couple of weeks. Being joined today by Monkey, who you can see sleeping in the chair behind me there. There he is, Monkey, sleeping in the chair behind me. I'll say hello to some of the people that have chimed in on the live portion. Chosen to say hi. There's Brian, Helter, Dragon, Kimberly, Ace, James, Sven, Jeff, New York Patriot, Cyberjack Sr., D-Lo, and Tuck. And hello to everyone else who did not want to say anything. That's okay. It's not a requirement, but, I do try to acknowledge people. And fortunately, I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate. If I had like 3,000 people in chat, I probably couldn't do that. But it would be nice. It'd be nice to be able to reach out to that many people at once. As we get ready to jump off here and look at the realm of the ridiculous. And yeah, following a common theme of how people have been reacting to Doge. This is a Washington Examiner article that's going to pop up. Top Department of Justice prosecutor resigns after refusing to investigate the EPA climate spending. And it's amazing to me how many so-called, we just saw the woman who was in charge of the Social Security Administration, we talked about it yesterday, after 30 years walked out because Doge walked in. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And basically quit. And this is happening a lot with many top-level executives in government that rather than allowing themselves to be part of the audit are leaving the job. JJ has joined us. Glad you could make it today. And Brian says he noticed the stream was set up later than usual, was worried I wasn't coming on. Yeah, the last couple of days I have been a little bit late getting it set up. Usually I set it up very early in the morning because my wife and I get up very early. But I just, things have been going on here. Like yesterday, the cable was out and cable was getting worked on. And certain things have been going on to delay the whole process. Kimberly suggests they're admitting guilt by quitting. And if they did something shady, they're not going to escape it by quitting the job. But getting into the article, head of the criminal division in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C., Denise Chung, resigned on Tuesday after Trump appointees requested an investigation into an Environmental Protection Agency funding decision that occurred during the Biden administration. Multiple people familiar with the matter said Chung had refused to open a grand jury investigation into the EPA's climate spending during the last administration. The source said that Chung decided that the order, or declined, the order, because it lacked sufficient evidence and to protect lower level prosecutors from the work. Who are you protecting? The way I look at it is essentially, you asked this woman to do her job and she refused. Hey, we want you to investigate the spending in the Environmental Protection Agency. It's going to happen anyways. Somebody's going to do it. Oh no, I'm not going to do that. I quit. All right. The order originated from Emil Bove, the department's acting deputy attorney general, to interim U.S. Attorney Ed Martin. The order comes after President Trump nominated Martin to become the permanent U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. The Trump administration has criticized former President Joe Biden's spending on climate programs. A lot of people have, including legislation like the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA, which had a lot of inflation and very little reduction, quite frankly, which provided hundreds of billions of dollars in funding for clean energy projects. And we've talked about that a lot, especially in the last year, because what those initiatives did was keep these climate programs alive because they were not earning any money otherwise. Solar and wind power and EV vehicle plants and all of that, they're not making any money. And government subsidies are what's keeping them alive. While everyone else complains about companies and their corporate welfare, that's corporate welfare. That's corporate welfare. When 87 or to 93% of your income is a government subsidy because your solar power barely registers on the grid, that's government, that's corporate welfare. That's a government payoff. Okay? Goes on to say the administration is also reviewing various climate-related grants and programs to see whether they align with the current agendas. EPA Administration Lee Zeldin announced last week the agency would seek to cut around $20 billion in grant funding for climate projects under the IRA. Zeldin claims the funds were parked at financial institutes and later went to left-wing activist groups without any oversight. He referred to the funds multiple times as gold bars, referencing an undercover video in which the EPA employee compared the funding to gold bars being thrown off of the Titanic. Oh, I like that. Zeldin said the agency will review every penny and will work alongside the inspector department. So you got the someone in the EPA already doing this, but then the Department of Justice head says, no, I'm not going to get involved. And Bob has joined us. Hopes they didn't miss anything good. Well, you missed seeing Monkey. Well, Monkey is still sitting behind me. And Kimberly wants their passports revoked. That only happens if you owe money to the IRS. I ought to know, because they took mine. Or they didn't take it, they flagged it. So if I tried to use it, they wouldn't let me on the plane. That was way back in the day. Chung has worked in the office since the year 2000, so she's been in there for 24 years. She notified colleagues Tuesday morning about her resignation, but did not specify the reason. Didn't specify the reason. We have a quote here from Chung. Okay, here's a quote. When I started at the AUSA, I took an oath of office to support and defend the Constitution, and I have executed this duty faithfully during my tenure, which has spanned through numerous administrations. I know that all of the AUSAs in the office continue to honor their oaths on a daily basis, just as I know that you have always conducted yourself with the utmost integrity. But ask you to do your job in assisting with an audit, I quit. I quit. So it's not upholding the Constitution to make sure that taxpayer funds are not being misused or misappropriated? That's not part of your oath? Indeed. Indeed. Tuck says that his HOA needs Doge. I bet. I don't trust any HOA. I honestly don't. I understand why they are there, but they eventually turn into like these pseudo governments that can be really awful to deal with. They really can. So she has to quit without saying a word after 24 years. Someone asks her to do her job, and she quits, and she cites her oath of office to uphold the Constitution. by refusing to do something that's for the benefit of the American people. Just because there's an audit doesn't mean something's going to happen. It's already ongoing anyways, and the guy at the EPA is all for it. He said he's already found $20 billion that's up in the air that shouldn't be there, and let's get this ball rolling. And Caps is here. He says, let's see how stupid things can get. My device is refusing to type what I wanted to do. Must be because it goes against Big Brother. Big Brother is watching you, Caps. Big Brother is watching you. So what Chung might be tied up in? Because that sounds suspicious. That sounds suspicious. Like you're trying to cover your tracks. Like you're trying to cover your tracks. And again, we'll get to the bird flu cows here in a minute as we move around to a New York Post article. And this is hot off of the presses, actually. This came down the pike this morning. Doge finds nearly $40 billion in spending linked to government-issued credit cards. How many credit cards? I want to know. It says the Department of Government Efficiency pledged to simplify the federal government's credit card program on Tuesday, which costs taxpayers nearly $40 billion last year. So $40 billion a year going on government credit cards. The U.S. government currently has 4.6 million active credit card accounts, which processed 90 million unique transactions for roughly $40 billion in the fiscal year of 2024. How do you get $40 billion out of 90 million transactions on 4.5 million active accounts? Are there even that many government employees with a government credit card? It says Doge is working with the agencies to simplify this program and reduce the administration costs. Doge said it will report back in a week with its plan to disentangle that system. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics indicate that the federal government employed just over 3 million people in 2024, meaning that there are more active cards on file with the government than there are employees to use them. 3 million people with 4.6 million credit cards. Who has the other 1.6 million cards? And how did it get to spend $40 billion? The General Services Administration, which runs that program, notes the government contractors may also be eligible for a credit card. Cute. The spending data highlighted by Doge is publicly available on the GSA website. That's good to know. Since 1998, the GSA has managed this program, which issues credit cards linked to major banks, to millions of employees at more than 250 federal agencies and Native American tribal governments. GSA touts that its so-called Smart Pay system enables government workers to make purchases on behalf of the federal government in support of their agency's mission with streamlined transaction processing. Yeah, but how hard is it to make shady purchases? How hard is it? I bet you it's not that difficult. I bet it's not that difficult to make shady purchases. And that was something, where was that I was about? There was a mayor and her family were using credit cards. I think I might have read this story last year, that they would make a purchase, but then they would add to. Like, let's say they needed to buy reams of paper for the office. So they go down to, where do you get paper nowadays? Staples. Is Staples still around? And you buy 10 reams of paper, but then you buy something else that you just happen to take home, and it all goes on the credit card, and it looks like a normal transaction. I bet you a lot of that goes on with these cards. Puck suggests liberals don't know what's in the Constitution because it's cursive. There you go. And Alice says, I read we might get a refund to taxpayers if the spending is rectified. Won't get my hopes up. I had heard something about that. It'd be nice. Raccoon loves that they're finding all the hidden money, but it's also embarrassing. It is. And Paul says, loves the show, sending prayers from the People's Republic of New Jersey. I appreciate that, Paul. Where can I get one of these government credit cards? Because I could sure use it. The agency's website states the current system results in an increase in accountability and is efficient and effective at identifying fraud, waste, and abuse. I doubt it. For decades, the federal government has been plagued with scandals involving the use of taxpayer-funded credit cards. A recent audit of the Department of Defense travel charge program, 12% of the credit card purchases on government issues violated Pentagon's spending policies. So now, listen to the contradictions here, okay? The website for the agency, the GSA, that oversees this program, okay? The website for this agency that oversees this program, the GSA, they state, this website, they have an increase in accountability, efficient and effective at identifying waste and abuse. That's their claim. Then the article tells you that for decades, the federal government has been plagued with scandals involving the use of taxpayer-funded credit cards. And then they make an example here of the Pentagon, which disclosed that at least 12% of their transactions were fraudulent. 12% is actually not very good. 12% is not good. Okay? If you were a corporation, 12% would get you shut down and audited. But then we want to audit this system and everybody's up in arms over it. You couldn't get away with 12% at Walmart. You couldn't do it. Company credit card? What do you mean 12%? 12% across the board are fraudulent transactions? Shut that system down and start an audit. Name your company. Starbucks. Name your company. Government does it. Oh, no. Oh, we don't want to audit that. I quit. I'm leaving my job. Alice says that's why Staples has all the extras like food and cleaning products. Probably. Tuck says cards for places like Office Depot can be abused easily as they sell bottled water, candy, assorted non-essential BS that someone could take home or even resell, or even office supplies. I use paper. I have a printer. I use a lot of paper, honestly. I mean, if I went for the office and I went and I bought 10 reams of paper, and a ream, of course, is the case bundle of paper. I could buy 12 and take 2 home. Who the hell would know? Who would know? I buy 20 cases of air dusters for the computer. I use air dusters. Shoot, why don't I take 2 or 3 of these home with me? I paid for it on the card and I just dropped them off. You could do stuff like that. You could get away with it. And because if there's no accountability, if no one's going to follow it up, what are you going to do? And Marvel fan has joined us. Glad you could make it. Or he's the #1 Marvel fan, actually. But then they want to audit this stuff, and everybody gets upset. Here's another example being given by the writer of the article. The Department of Defense Inspector General's report released last month found $500,000 worth of transactions were made at casinos, mobile app stores, bars, nightclubs, and major sporting events, including the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure that those transactions do not fall under the category of office supplies or other office necessities. I'm pretty sure. And when they say nightclubs, I'm willing to bet they mean a strip club. Here, let me swipe my card. Hey, baby, do you take plastic? And it's the Pentagon and the Department of Defense that found these anomalies, not GSA. GSA didn't find that. 12% is unacceptable. Hey, that's your tax dollars at work. It says 3.9 million total transactions, totaling 1.2 billion, were not reviewed by any supervisors. So 1.2 billion right under the radar. No one even bothered to check on them. No one checked on them. Don't know what it was spent on. Don't care. Marvel fan says people are going to be upset when the Golden Goose is taken away. Yeah, they are, because they're used to abusing that system. They've become very accustomed to it. Frankie says, don't forget the stupid expensive printer ink. Yeah, I know. Well, you know what you do. You get a toner. You get a black and white dedicated printer. That's what's back here. Back there, that's a dedicated black and white printer. Okay. It does not print in color. It does print on both sides, but it does not print in color. And it's got that big toner cartridge that you insert in there. The factory one that came with this when I bought it 2 years ago is still in there. And I must have gone through a whole case of paper by now. Easily. In the last couple of years, I've gone through a whole case of paper. And that cartridge is still running. So if you use a lot of printing, a lot of paper, and you don't need color, get one that takes a toner cartridge. This is what is this? This is a Canon image class. Canon image class works great. Never had a problem with it. Never had a jam. Nothing. Those ink cartridges are a nightmare, unless you just need to print in color. But they run out so quick. This is what you need to do if you got a home office, and it doesn't matter if it's in color or not. And the resolution is great, so you can, if an image even has to be printed, you can see it clearly. It just looks black and white. Puck says, what's amazing is people are complaining about IGs getting fired with all this fraud going on. What was their job again? Indeed. And Kimberly says, I would like to know the net worth of the guy who quit during this Doge investigation. Good question. Yeah, they probably have made up a lot of money. Brian says laser printers are the bomb. Yeah. Because again, toner cartridges. And I bought an extra toner cartridge, expecting that I would need it, and haven't had to open the box yet. It's still the factory one that was installed with it that isn't even a full cartridge. It's like a half-size cartridge. And I'm like, holy crap, I hope the thing never breaks down. Jennifer wants to know if it's the ink squeezed right out of the squid. No. It's toner. It's like dust. And it heats up and overlays onto the paper. And just to let you know that she's not going away without a fight. She's not going away without a fight. As Monkey wakes up a little bit here, getting comfortable. And this is going to be a variety. She is America's sweetheart, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, it says Kamala Harris signs with the CAA. Because she's not going anywhere, folks. She's not going to fade away into the sunset. She needs to. Former Vice President Kamala Harris has signed with the CAA for representation in all areas, with a focus on speaking engagements and publishing. CAA will launder money for her. Oh, excuse me, I was reading between the lines there. CAA will work closely with Harris on her post-White House initiatives, creating strategic opportunities that expand her platform in support of the issues that she has championed throughout decades-long career in public service. Remember, she's been in politics since like 1994. if I remember correctly. It's 1994, right? This marks a return to the agency for Harris, which previously represented the then U.S. Senator prior to her being sworn in as the 49th Vice President of the United States. Here we go. Here come the bullet points. The first woman, the first Black American, and the first South Asian American to be elected to the position. Wipe your tears. Wipe your tears. She made history again as the first Black woman, and they capitalized the word black. I love that. And first South Asian woman nominated for president by a major political party. That's a lie. She was not nominated because there was no voting. They bypassed the voting process and installed her as the the Democrat pick to replace Biden. They bypassed the voting process while everybody complains, and I brought this up 100 times, while everyone complains about Elon Musk. No one voted for Elon. Elon is not in a position that needs to be voted for. Harris was and bypassed that system. I didn't hear anybody complaining. Although the media did touch on it, I didn't hear anyone complaining. Okay? Harris will soon be with the Chairman's Award at the NAACP Image Awards. I wonder what that cost her. The award celebrates individuals who excel in public service and leverage their unique platforms to ignite and drive meaningful change. Jesus. What a sopping wet sentence. She will accept the prestigious honor in her first TV appearance since leaving office during the 56th Image Awards ceremony on February 22nd. Oh, it already passed. Airing live from the Pasadena Civic Auditorium. Incredible. Jennifer says they were being sarcastic. We know, Jennifer. JJ says, speaking of someone not going out without a fight, how about that one mayor in Illinois? Yeah, they all fighting tooth and nail to hold on to their jobs. Kimberly wants to know what she's done again. She's managed to hang on to a political position of one form or another since 1994 without ever actually doing her job. Look at her track history. Look at all the reports. We read them last year when she was running. When she became the Democrat front runner, and all the people started coming forward that she used to work with in California, all the people when she was working in the Attorney General's office that were like, that bitch never did anything. We would bust our asses out in the field, and then she would show up for a photo op, and that's the only time we ever saw her. We read the stories. We read them together, some of us. She hasn't done anything. 30 years. 30 years in politics. And her claim to fame is she's a first female person of one color or another to do this or that. And can't make up her mind. This one calls her out for both. Says that she's Pacific Islander and Black. Okay. What does that mean? What does that mean? Oh, JJ says that Henyard, you're talking about Henyard, right? Was in a literal fistfight during a town meeting. Really? I didn't see that one. Tuck says, sounds like she's a drunkard. Worked with a few. Well, I mean, she's been accused of it. Well, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's plausible that she could have a drinking problem. She certainly acts like a functional drunk, like a functional alcoholic. She does. But yeah, she's not going away, especially not with people like this. And again, this is a Variety magazine article, so they're really going to blow it up. They're really going to stroke her ego. talking about her accomplishments. They really airbrushed that photo. Talking about her accomplishments. There really aren't any. There really aren't any to speak of. Oh, come here. Monkey, everybody. How you doing, my friend? There you go. He's getting big. He's putting on weight. Putting on weight. Now, this is another interesting bit about Doge, and then I want to get onto the cows. Get onto the cows, and Tuck confirms. He says, "Yes, functional addict, a real burden on coworkers." Yes, that's true. They can be a real burden on coworkers because you got to cover for a lot. You got to make up for a lot. Nothing gets done, but because she was in politics, she was able to front and jump in for photo ops when she didn't actually do anything. Western Journal article, as media freaks over one Doge employee having IRS access, we learned that Biden gave 919 people access. I found this very interesting. The Trump administration Department of Government Efficiency is about to provide a staff member access to IRS data, causing the media and the Democrats to spin into a frenzy. Gavin Klinger, a software engineer who works at Doge, will be based at the IRS for 120 days, and he will reportedly have access to the tax agency's data. Klinger will work as a senior advisor for the IRS acting commissioner. Waste, fraud, this is a quote, waste, fraud, and abuse have been deeply entrenched in our broken system for far too long. It takes direct access to the system to identify that and fix it. Doge will continue to shine a light on the fraud that they uncover, as the American people deserve to know what their government has been spending their hard-earned tax dollars on. I agree. But CNN was deeply concerned about the fact that Klinger would receive access to private data like social security numbers, bank account informations, and tax returns. And like I've pointed out over and over again, you can get that from the phone company. I can buy that from the phone company if I had enough money. I can't afford to do it, but companies do it all the time. Data miners do it. Buy it from the phone company, buy it from the Department of Motor Vehicles, buy it from the cable company, and so on. The outlet breathlessly quoted a letter from Oregon Democratic Senator Ron Wyden and Massachusetts Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren, in which they asked the acting commissioner to immediately disclose to the Senate Committee on Finance the full extent of the potential access to IRS systems and data granted to Doge team members. Okay? Now, here's the problems. They claim that they want to address any efforts by Doge personnel to gain access to taxpayer records at the IRS, which may constitute criminal violations of federal privacy laws. Okay? Quote, are you aware tax returns and return information are subject to strong legal privacy protections? And this is the senators talking. Allowing Doge officials sweeping access to these systems may be in violation of the statutes. Okay. Now, here's the report from the IRS, or rather from the Treasury Inspector General for the Tax Administration. Treasury Inspector General for the Tax Administration has revealed that as of September 2023, and this is just from September 2023, so a little more than a year ago, there were 919 individuals who had access to that same data. The unmasked data is what they're calling it, contains personally identifiable information and executive level approval to access. And 20 of those individuals were only researchers and student volunteers. So the executive branch of the White House since September 2023 has allowed 919 people access to the same data Doge wants to let one guy look at. And 20 of them weren't even government employees, including students, research students. And Alice and Kimberly said he's a sweet kitty. He can be. He's feisty. That's why we call him Monkey. He's feisty, but yeah, he can be a real sweetheart. And Frankie says, great accomplishment is screwing up California. Greatest accomplishment is screwing up California as Attorney General. Yeah, no kidding. And Cap says, I love how you said money laundering, how she claims she is the first this and that when it's not important. It isn't. And I've said it 100 times, and I'll say it again for those of you who've never heard it. There's a difference between something being history and something being historic. These people are doing nothing of historic value. Nothing. Just because it's history doesn't mean it's important. If I put on platform shoes and played the violin in front of the Lincoln Memorial, I'll go down in history, I think, as the first person to have ever done that. Doesn't mean it has any historic value at all. Who cares? Who cares? And that's where all of these people fall. And counting on the media fluffing up and people overlooking the fact that is the viewers, that is the people, overlooking the fact that there is a big difference between something being history and something actually having historic value. JJ wants to know if the student volunteers were from China. Good question. Because it doesn't say. It doesn't say. But this goes to show you the hypocrisy in our government right now. The hypocrisy with our government officials right now that are opposing all of this. You're upset about one guy doing an audit when within the span of roughly just over a year, 919 people under the Biden administration had access to the same data, and many of them should not have been authorized. They weren't even government employees, but they needed executive branch approval or executive level approval to access that data. That's hypocrisy. That is hypocrisy. So let's see here. Getting on to the cows now, because they're trying to scare us with cattle, and I'm wondering if they're going to start culling herds of cattle again. Not that they don't do it when there's hoof and mouth disease, because they do. They still kill them to prevent the spread, and they use the analogy cutting down trees in a forest fire to prevent the forest fire from spreading to other trees. The difference with that is that a forest fire will kill all the trees, but bird flu going through a hen house will affect less than 10% of them. So why destroy them all? To drive prices up, I imagine. The Independent has this article: 6 more states join national milk testing strategies amid rampant spread of bird flu, in the cattle, that is. 6 states have joined the nation's milk testing program to track the spread of bird flu as another spillover of the virus was reported in dairy cows. The addition of Arkansas, Louisiana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, North Carolina, and West Virginia, which are not near each other, but whatever, brings the total number of states in the program to 36. Notably, Texas and Mississippi, some of the nation's largest poultry producers, remain absent, as do Wisconsin and Idaho, some of America's top milk producers. To date, more than 970 herds have been stricken with bird flu across 17 states, according to data from the Department of Agriculture. Yeah, because you can totally trust them. The news comes after Arizona health officials announced on Friday the state's agriculture department had identified H5N1 bird flu in milk produced by a dairy herd in Maricopa County. Although the cattle haven't shown any symptoms, doesn't mean they won't wipe them out. The virus is the D1-1 genotype, the same that had been confirmed in Nevada dairy cattle at the end of last month. I wonder if the USDA brought it there. I know that's foil hat time right there. The, the genotype has also been implicated in human infections, including the death of a Louisiana resident over the age of 65. Shortly after, the state reported its first bird flu infection in a dairy worker exposed to sick cows. Yeah, sure. I just don't trust it. I'm sorry. I don't trust it all. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with all of that. Coffee Girl says, "What's the link to that information? We just had Wyden come from a town hall. He was fear mongering about people's private information, besides Musk taking away people's Security, Medicare, and Medicaid." Are you talking about what the article I just read? The article that I just read, is that what you mean? The one employee about the one employee, Coffee Girl? Here, if that's the one you're talking about, there's the link. It should be a link. Did it come in as a link? Let me know if that processed as a link properly, because it should have a bibliography. Let me try this. Let me try this. It should have a bibliography at the bottom of the page. There's the link. I assume that's what you were talking about, unless you tell me otherwise. It says, while the Trump administration has addressed the resulting egg shortage, they have not specifically detailed a plan of action to respond to outbreaks tearing across the country. They've placed the blame on the previous administration. Well, the previous administration culled 20,000 or 20 million birds. They culled 20 million birds last year on poultry farms. 20 million. So, yeah, less chickens, less eggs. And where are we going to get new chickens from? Okay. It takes a little time. And it's been what? We're coming on a month. How fast do you think that he's going to get chickens on farms? I don't know. Some of the stuff people ask for are just ridiculous. Or just ridiculous. Or short sighted. How come I'm not seeing prices go down yet? God, give it a chance. Give it a chance. You watched prices rise for 4 straight years. 4 straight years. Okay? And now that someone's working on fixing it, you expect instant results to repair 4 years worth of damage. Indeed. Sven talking about chickens. Yeah, they used to call it hen fruit. Hen fruit. And farmers were offered a buyout of the flock if they culled them, nothing if they had to retest. Well, and again, as we pointed out, a single bird having bird flu could result in the destruction of that entire flock. And now we're looking at the possibility with cattle farms because of milk. Was that milk tested before it was pasteurized and homogenized? Because that's the problem. That is the problem. And oh, don't think that they're not thinking about you. Don't think the government hasn't got their eye on you either, or thereof. USA Today article. As bird flu continues to spread, is there a vaccine for humans? Oh, I don't know. Is there? Fingers crossed, anyone? Fingers crossed? A woman in Wyoming and a farm worker in Ohio marked the latest Americans hospitalized with bird flu. 380 million people in the United States, and two people get sick with bird flu, and you want a vaccine. Right. As the virus continues to disrupt the poultry and cattle industry, the virus is not disrupting the poultry and cattle industries. The USDA is. Let's be clear on that. It's like when people talk about the C virus. Oh, the C virus upended the United States for 2 years. No, it didn't. The government and the CDC did with all their mandates and all their requirements. The virus didn't do that. The virus came and went. Bird flu has infected nearly 70 people and caused one death in the United States since last April. So, almost a year ago. Since January, 3 people have been hospitalized for bird flu, including an older person who died in Louisiana. Before then, a person in Missouri hospitalized in September for an unrelated health issue turned out to also have bird flu. In Canada, a teenage girl became critically ill in November with severe respiratory issues from bird flu, also called highly pathogenic avian influenza. So, does that really call for a vaccination? It says since the summer, the U.S. has begun preparing 10 million doses of a vaccine they think will be effective against the bird flu. Federal officials have elected not to use it, given that the illness has been relatively mild. Yeah, I would say so. With eye redness and flu-like symptoms that didn't require hospitalization, and there is no evidence of human-to-human transmission. Health officials have said bird flu's risk to the general public is low, yet you're preparing shots, and I'm supposed to trust that. Yeah, and JJ says, oh boy, another stabby jab. Yep. And Sven wants raw milk locally. You can find it. You can find it. And Sven says TB is a bigger issue. We just had millions of untested illegals here flying for free. Yeah, I can imagine. But most jobs you get tested for it. I can't tell you how many times I've had to take a TB test for the majority of my professional jobs. I've had to take a TB test. And Sven suggests proper vitamin intake and diet is a better vaccine. You know I'm all about diet and exercise. I don't trust. I mean, again, I don't take jabs. I don't take jabs. But here we go already, crying about and calling for a shot for people, and they wonder why RFK Jr. is so heavily against this sort of thing. I don't trust that. I don't trust that sort of thing at all. And they're stockpiling it. And then, part of the reason why the flu jab doesn't really do what it's supposed to, aside from make you sick, is because the strain is already changed by the time you get it. So that poke is pretty much useless whenever Walgreens starts distributing it. They're distributing a vax for last year's strain. And I've never talked to anyone in my life who got one of those and didn't get sick afterwards. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But here we go. Yeah. 10 million doses are stored up. It says multiple requests to federal agencies, including the Administration for Strategic Preparedness and Response, tasked with stockpiling vaccinations, and the Department of Health and Human Services were not returned. So they're not answering any questions to the press. But they sure are generating a lot of speculation, aren't they? A lot of speculation. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Oh, and while we were talking about where are we here? Stupid news. Let's do a stupid news. You won't believe this one. You will not believe this one. Okay. Is this got the whole article here? It's got an article. This is the UK. Okay. And this is a legitimate article because I checked up on this. This is really happening. And I know the Sun is like a rag. It's like the National Enquirer. Okay. But this is so bizarre. And I just couldn't help but talk about it. All right. It says Bonnie Blue. I never heard of this person. Okay. This is where are we? This is Bonnie Blue in these photographs. And Bonnie apparently is an OnlyFans porn star. All right. Reading, reading the article. Am I back on? I got an orange warning for connectivity issues, so hopefully I'm still here. Yeah, Frankie wants to know about the debt clock. I'm going to get to it in a minute. I'll show the debt clock today. I have an interesting point to make about it, actually. That's Bonnie Blue. She's an OnlyFans porn star. This is one of those all-in porn stars, though, not like shaking my ass in the camera OnlyFans, whatever, okay? And she's one of the few that actually makes any money. I know a lot of people. I had a conversation with someone about this not too long ago. They were like, "Wow, people are. I'm wasting my time working, and people, these women are on OnlyFans and Instagram shaking their ass and making a fortune." I'm like, "No, they're really not. Most of them aren't making a dime. They're just humiliating themselves on TV, or not TV, but on OnlyFans or whatever." Very few of them make money. She did because she pulled a really disgusting stunt. All right, now listen to this. Bonnie Blue sparks a pregnancy rumor just weeks after betting 1,057 men. Now, here's what happened. She's 25 years old and she made millions of dollars on OnlyFans by doing a 12-hour marathon in which, and saying betting is a really nice way to put it, by servicing 1,057 men in a 12-hour period on a live OnlyFans stream. And that's where she made her money. Okay. And now there's a rumor, there's a coming from her OnlyFans and Instagram post that she might be pregnant. She has 369,000 followers on Instagram. I don't know. It doesn't say how many. I don't think it says how many followers she has on OnlyFans. Okay. Calls herself Bonnie Blue. I don't know what her actual name is. It doesn't say. And I'm like, how do you live that down? How do you live something like that down? This is what you'll always be known for. There's no way around it. This is the woman who, again, putting it delicately, serviced 1,057 men in 12 hours in a marathon post. to become famous, and she made money, evidently. What if she is pregnant? How could she ever have a kid? Not only is she a porn star, okay, bad enough if you're a porn star, but to do something like this is what I talk about, the difference between something being history and something being historic. This is history. Is it historic? It's pretty disgusting. It's pretty disgusting. JJ suggests that's 1.5 guys a minute. I don't know how. I guess they're quick. I don't know how that was worked out. I don't know how you could work something like that out. Um, I haven't seen it. I wouldn't watch it. I don't want to see that. It would be a great setup for a reality show. Get Maury Povich out and start a reality show. Who's the father? You are not the father. If they could even find all 1,057 of these men to determine who the hell the dude was that did it, and I bet you a court would make him pay child support. Incredible. In order to make money, and that's what's being suggested here. Sven says it seems like bad business model to only sell or OnlyFans. OnlyFans, yeah, it's a really bad business model unless you do something absolutely insane, outrageous like this. But I mean, talk about a freak show. Why would you do this? And then again, how do you live that down? How do you live that down? Is that something that you're proud of? How do you be proud of that? How do you justify that? It just it surprises me. People. I shouldn't say surprises me though, because nothing that people do really surprises me all that much. There is no lower level that you can get to. WCM says, I heard every man a woman sleeps with stays with that woman. I wonder if it's true. I have no idea. I have no idea. But that just um, struck me as being very interesting. And Jericho says, I hope she's not pregnant. Spare the kid. I know, because she'll always be, you know, when you get old enough, sooner or later, kids are going to know. You get to junior high, high school age, especially, someone's going to find out and it's going to get around, and that kid's going to be humiliated. Dude, your mom like posed over 1,000 guys in a day. She's a whore. And what do you say? What do you say to that? Kimberly says she did it without being on birth control or requiring condoms. I don't know how it went down, but with that many people, I can imagine accidents happen, even if there were condoms. I mean, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Here comes your debt clock, because you asked, and here it is. We are currently, Doge is currently at 113 billion in savings, 113 and change. And I'm going to take you to the time machine, okay? We are currently at, and I noticed also this US national debt ticker, it's going slower. It was going faster the first few times I looked at it. It's going a little slower now, but whatever. It's still at 36.5 trillion, 36 trillion $500 billion and change. Let's go to the time machine. There's a time machine function, and we're going to look at same time last year. We'll jump to February 19th, 2020. And the debt clock, there's last year's debt clock. 25 trillion. 25 and change. 25,700,000,000 dollars. So that means that during the Biden administration, give or take, he tacked on an additional 11 trillion in spending. 11 trillion in spending. JJ says he wants to know if that's Eric Cartman's mother. Yeah, of course. Because that's another function of this clock, that you can go to different time periods. I think it goes back as far as 1980. Yeah, let's look at 1980 real quick. $865 billion. I like how that works. And back to the current day. Doge, 113 billion in current savings. And we can keep looking at that. We can keep looking at it. But with that, we are at the top of the hour. So I will go ahead and start signing off. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. We got another one here from Marvel Fan. He says, it's insane. The men that did this are horrible as well. You are correct. Why would you want to be involved in something like that? Why would you want to? I don't even want to be with a woman who's with another dude. It's creepy. Plus, I'm married anyways, and I like that. I like the exclusivity that comes from that marriage. That's just me and my wife, and there's no one else involved. There's something very special about it when you appreciate it. You can also find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. You can find me on Rumble, Coffee Talk 2 with the number 2. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. So thank you, everybody who was able to join us here today. As always, hope you got something out of the conversation, and we will catch you again tomorrow.